Welcome to NTCP English Medium Economics Marathon Session 2. Okay, so we'll be discussing around 100 questions. Already we have discussed 100 questions. We'll be discussing 100 more questions on this Marathon Session 2. So let's start with our questions. The first and foremost, the financial capital of India is okay. భారతదేశం యొక్క ఆర్థిక రాజధాని ఏది? ఆప్షన్ ఏ వచ్చేసరికి మనకు ముంబై ఉంది, ఆప్షన్ బి చెన్నై ఉంది, ఆప్షన్ సి ఢిల్లీ ఉంది, ఆప్షన్ డి చండీగఢ్ ఉంది. You all know that most of the national financial institutions, it can be stock exchanges, it can be many banks, all of them including Reserve Bank of India, everyone is headquartered in Mumbai. So Mumbai is called as the financial capital of India. So because of Mumbai being the financial capital of India, Mumbai ఆర్థిక రాజధాని అవడం చేత from Maharashtra we get highest amount of taxes also. అదేవిధంగా Maharashtra is also second highest populated state in the country because Mumbai attracts huge migration into Mumbai. So answer is nothing but Mumbai. Which one of the following is an example for non-banking financial institutions? ఇక్కడ చూడండి, what are they asking? They are asking which of the following is an example of non-banking financial institutions. సో ఇక్కడ మనకు రిజర్వ్ బ్యాంకింగ్ ఉంది, ఇది ఇక్కడ స్టేట్ బ్యాంక్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా ఉంది, ఐఓబి ఉంది, ఎల్ఐసి ఉంది. ఓకే, ఇక్కడ విషయానికి వచ్చేసరికి మనకు నాన్ బ్యాంకింగ్ ఫినాన్షియల్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్ ది నాట్ పెర్ఫార్మ్ ఎనీ బ్యాంకింగ్ ఆపరేషన్స్. మీరు చూసినట్టయితే ఎల్ఐసి ఈజ్ ఎ ఇన్సూరెన్స్ కంపెనీ. ఎట్ ద సేమ్ టైమ్ ఎల్ఐసి ఈజ్ ఆల్సో డస్ సమ్ సార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ప్రొవైడింగ్ finance, but it will not perform the process of normal banking functions. So here the answer is nothing but Life Insurance Corporation of India. Imperial Bank of India is constituted in the year. You all know that. Okay, మనకి ఇంతకు ముందు ఎలా ఉండే Bank of Bengal, Bank of Bombay and Bank of Madras. So 1806 or it became Bank of Bengal 1809, but initially Bank of Calcutta is 1806. And 1840 we have got Bank of Bombay, 1843 we have got Bank of Madras. Now as you know that in the year 1921 all these were merged or amalgamated to form in the year 1921 as Imperial Bank of India. So your question is Imperial Bank of India was constituted in the year. So obviously the answer is nothing but 1921. Very important. Okay. 1 rupee notes are issued by, so you know that there are something called currencies and coins. Okay, so out of the currencies, when you look into the currencies part, from 2 rupees, okay, 2 rupees to 10,000 rupees. Okay, currently we have got up to 2,000 rupees, but if required they can also print 10,000 rupees. All these, the power lies with Reserve Bank of India. That is the reason all these currencies RBI governor signature will be there. But when you come to 1 rupee note, remember that 1 rupee is equal to 1 rupee coin. It is equal to 1 rupee coin, and the coins are issued by not RBI, it is issued by Government of India. Since 1 rupee coins are issued by Government of India, 1 rupee note also will bear the signature of the Finance Secretary. So they are asking 1 rupee notes are issued by option A Reserve Bank of India, option B State Bank of India, option C President of India, option D Government of India. The answer is nothing but Government of India. When was the Mumbai Stock Exchange set up? You should also know that it should be called as Bombay Stock Exchange. Okay, so Bombay Stock Exchange or Mumbai Stock Exchange is the one and the same. Okay, so when you come to Bombay Stock Exchange, first of all coming to capital markets in the country, okay, the oldest stock exchange not only in India but also Asia, is nothing but Bombay Stock Exchange. What is that? Bombay Stock Exchange. And this Bombay Stock Exchange came to establishment in the year 1875. When is the year? 1875. Very important. Okay. Ashish Kumar Chauhan is the MD and CEO of Bombay Stock Exchange, whose headquarters is present in Mumbai. The headquarters of Bombay Stock Exchange is present in Mumbai. Remember that the indicator of Bombay Stock Exchange means how is the Bombay Stock Exchange performing? Is the stock market going up or stock market going down? If you wanted to understand all these things, remember that we have got an indicator called as a Sensex. So Sensex stands for sensitive index. Sensex అంటే ఏంటమ్మా sensitive index. సో ఈ సెన్సెక్స్ ఏదైతుందో దీంట్లో మనకు ఒక 30 స్టాక్స్ ఉంటాయి. ఆ 30 స్టాక్స్ యొక్క పెర్ఫార్మెన్స్ని బట్టి మార్కెట్ పైకి వెళ్తుందా కిందికి వస్తుందా అనేది మనము అర్థం చేసుకోవచ్చు. సో బాంబే స్టాక్ ఎక్స్చేంజ్, the oldest stock exchange not only in India but also Asia, and the headquarters is present in Mumbai, and the MD and CEO is Ashish Kumar Chauhan, and the indicator of Bombay Stock Exchange is Sensex. It has got how many stocks? 30 stocks. And remember that very very important, it is a Bombay Stock Exchange which has sponsored the establishment of one of the Indian international stock exchange, that is nothing but INX. The only international stock exchange is also being set up with the help of Bombay Stock Exchange, which holds the biggest stake in the India International Exchange, which is present in gift city of Gandhinagar. So very important question. The rate at which RBI gives short-term loans to commercial banks is called as. So what are they asking? Loans are extended by Reserve Bank of India to whom? To commercial banks. Now when RBI is giving loans to commercial banks on a short-term basis, now commercial banks will have to pay certain rate of interest to Reserve Bank of India. Now the question asked is, what is this rate of interest called? Remember that whenever commercial banks wanted to borrow money from RBI, commercial banks will give to RBI bonds and securities. While giving these bonds and securities, the commercial bank will make a promise of repurchasing those bonds and securities. How do they repurchase the bonds and securities? Again, they'll give money back to RBI and they'll repurchase. So the money is taken by the commercial banks from the RBI with what agreement? Repurchase agreement. So it is being taken with the repurchase agreement. So this rate of interest which is given is called as repurchase rate. In short, is called as repo rate. What is it called as? Repo rate. So remember that repo rate stands for repurchase rate. Repo rate and endamma repurchase rate. So we have got options: repo rate, reverse repo rate, reverse repo rate is reverse actually. Okay, and bank rate, cash reserve rate. Okay, the answer is nothing but repo rate. Okay, reverse repo rate is something very reverse. Reverse in the sense when commercial bank is giving money to RBI, RBI will pay certain rate of interest to commercial bank, and that is called as a reverse repo rate. Okay. Bank rate is nothing but bank rate is similar to repo rate only, but bank rate will be long term, repo rate will be short term. That is the reason bank rate will be slightly higher than the repo rate. Very important. Okay, it is not cash reserve rate, it is a cash reserve ratio. Okay, so some part of the money of Reserve Bank of commercial banks, some part of NDTL of commercial banks is kept with RBI, for which RBI will not pay any rate of interest. That is called as cash reserve ratio. Okay, we'll come across this again. So yeah, the answer is repo rate. The new symbol of Indian currency is designed by, we got options: Santosh Kumar, YV Reddy, Uday Kumar, Dr. Rangarajan. As you know that the new currency of Indian rupee will be like this, and there was a competition that government has thrown to public saying that whoever provides a very apt currency symbol to India, they would be rewarded with some prize. Okay. Now out of this, the currency which is proposed by Mr. Uday Kumar has been accepted as nothing but Indian rupee currency symbol. Okay, so the answer is here, Uday Kumar. Who was the first Indian governor of Reserve Bank of India? So what are they asking? They are asking the first. They are asking governor of what? Reserve Bank of India. They are also asking Indian governor of Reserve Bank of India. Indian governor of Reserve Bank of India. If they ask you a question, who is the governor of first governor of RBI? The answer is Osborne Smith. But here the question asked is, who was the first Indian governor of RBI? And remember the options are C.D. Deshmukh, Sachindra Roy, S. Mukherjee, none of this. The answer is nothing but C.D. Deshmukh. C.D. Deshmukh took charge as the governor of RBI in the year 1943. He was there till 1949. So he almost served for 6 years as the governor of Reserve Bank of India. Who is that? C.D. Deshmukh. Which one of the following organizations is a banking financial institution? So what are they asking? Banking financial institution. Sometime back we discussed about non-banking. Now we are asking about banking financial institution. So KBIC, IFCO, SEBI, ICICI. Okay. Now if you see, out of all these things, what is a banking institution? Banking institution is an institution that performs the normal banking operations such as accepting deposits and lending loans to customers and opening savings accounts, current account, fixed deposit, recurring deposit, all those things. Now, if you see out of all these things, only ICICI performs those functionalities. Will perform only ICICI will perform such functionalities. So, this ICICI is a banking financial institution. SEBI is not. SEBI is a financial institution, but not a banking financial institution. Right? So, even other things are also different organizations that are related to farmers and cooperative societies. So, they also do not perform any banking operations. Okay? What are gilt-edged securities? Very, very important. Gilt-edged securities. Gilt-edged securities are the most reliable, most highest security or highest guaranteed securities. So, in this country, who can give you the highest guaranteed securities? For example, I am issuing a bond saying that you give me this amount of money, I will pay you back along with interest. But you should believe me. You should believe me that I will give. But sometimes I may not give. So, means what? I am trying to break the agreement. Okay. Means what? There is no guarantee in me giving back to you. But in this country, the utmost guarantee is provided only by Government of India. Your brother may take money from you, he may not give you back. Your sister may take money from you, she or she may not give you back, because it depends on this situation also. So, I think you have seen the movie called in Telugu, okay, where a brother gives money to sister and sister will tell that, brother, no money with me. She will be opening new sofa sets, new LED TVs, big TVs, home theaters, but she will tell no money with her. So, sometimes it depends on the other person's situation also. But at any cost, if you are lending money to Government of India, definitely Government of India will fulfill that commitment. So, gilt-edged securities are also securities which are issued by Government of India. So, what do we have options here? Securities issued by multinational companies? No. Securities issued by Government of India? Yes. Securities issued by private sector? No. Okay. Securities issued by joint venture companies? No. The answer is that securities issued by government. So, all the securities which are issued by the government, or they are called sovereign bonds, all these are nothing but gilt-edged securities. What is it called as? Gilt-edged securities. A short-term government security paper is called as, so this is one more government security paper, but it is a short-term. Means remember that whenever you say short term, it should be part of which market? Money market. It will be part of which market? Money market. Already we discussed these concepts in our economic sessions. So, money market is a short term. Short term when you say it is less than 1 year. Okay. Whereas the money requirement for a long term is met by the capital market. So, capital market is a long term, money market is a short term. Now, here they are asking which of the following is a short term security paper, okay, government security paper. Now, what are the options? Shares, debentures, mutual funds, treasury bills. Remember that share is issued by anyone. It can be any company can issue shares. Need not be a government company, private companies also can issue the shares. When you come to debentures, debentures are nothing but these are medium to long term, not short term, these are medium to long term debt instruments issued by the companies to borrow money from the market. Okay. So, that is also not. When you come to mutual funds are nothing but this is a method of pooling money from the large number of people, and investing that money in some what is it called, shares or debt instruments. So, this is also obviously not, it can be long term also, 3 years, more years, yes. Coming to treasury bill, very, very important. The right answer is treasury bill. How right answer is treasury bill? Remember that. What exactly is a treasury bill? Treasury bill ante enti? Ante whenever government is facing a temporary deficit, ante tatkalika lotu. So, whenever government is facing a temporary deficit, what government will do? Government will try to borrow money from the market by issuing something called as a treasury bills. So, a treasury bill will be created, it will be sold in the market in an auction. Auction means what? People whoever will be willing to come forward to give money to Government of India with close value, which is the value of the face value of the treasury bill. For example, my treasury bill value is 100 crores. If someone is coming forward to give me money which is very close to 100 crores, okay, then I will give the treasury bill to them. Okay. Now, for how many days will I give the treasury bill to them? I may give for 91 days, I may give for 182 days, I may give for 364 days. So, these are the tenures for which a treasury bill is being issued. 91 days, 182 days, 364 days. So, maximum is how much? 364, means less than 1 year. So, these treasury bills which are issued in an auction, okay, at a discount price, but redeemed after the maturity at a face value and which are meant to fulfill the temporary deficit of the government are called as treasury bills. So, here the right answer is nothing but treasury bills. Legal tender money refers to legal tender. What is the meaning of legal tender? అప్పుడప్పుడు మీరు షాప్కి వెళ్తారు, షాప్కి వెళ్ళిన తర్వాత మీరు ఏదో కొనడానికి మీరు ఏం చేస్తారు, మీ దగ్గర ఉన్నటువంటి మనీ ఇస్తారు, దాన్ని మనం ఏమంటామంటే లీగల్ టెండర్ అని చెప్పేసి అంటాం. ఏమంటాము? లీగల్ టెండర్ అని చెప్పేసి అంటాం. ఇక్కడ ఆప్షన్స్ ఏమున్నాయి? చెక్స్, డ్రాఫ్ట్స్, బిల్ ఆఫ్ ఎక్స్చేంజ్, కరెన్సీ నోట్స్. Obviously, the legal tender is nothing but currency note. Currency note is called as a legal tender. అంటే టెండరింగ్ అంటే ఎక్కడైనా బయటకు వెళ్ళిన తర్వాత ఏమైనా కొనడానికి దానికి దీన్ని ఇస్తామని మనం బేసికల్గా. ఓకే, దానికి స్పెసిఫిక్ వాల్యూ ఉంటుంది. ఆ వాల్యూకి గ్యారంటీ ఎవరు ఇస్తారు? ఆ యొక్క ఆర్బీఐ గవర్నర్ గ్యారంటీ ఇస్తాడు. అందుకే అంటే దాని మీద క్లియర్గా రాసిండే ఏమంటుంది, whoever is the bearer of the instrument, okay, bearer of the instrument will be eligible to get this amount of money from RBI అని చెప్పి రాసి ఉంటుంది. ఓకే, ఎవరు సైన్ చేస్తుంటారు కదా? రిజర్వ్ బ్యాంక్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా గవర్నర్ సైన్ చేస్తుంటారు, అవునా కదా? సో ఐ ప్రామిస్ టు పే ద బేరర్ value of 10 rupees. I promise to pay the bearer a value of 100 rupees. Means what? If you have got that paper with you, RBI is giving you a promise saying that this amount of value will be paid to you. For example, I got 100 rupees note with me. So means what? In the market I can purchase anything whose value is 100 rupees. I can purchase a pen, I can purchase a book, I can purchase a diary whose value is 100 rupees. Means what? Why they are giving me that diary or something by accepting this 100 rupees? They are giving because in this 100 rupees, Reserve Bank of India has given assurance saying that I promise to pay the bearer. Bearer means what? Whoever is holding this currency, to that person I promise to pay a value of how much? 100 rupees, like that. Okay. So, here the legal tender is nothing but currency note. Currency note is a legal tender, and bill of exchange is like a negotiable instrument, you can say. It is a security instrument basically, and checks are also kind of those things. Okay. Yeah, I think the draft can be meant as demand draft. Demand draft is nothing but DD. It is kind of a banker's check. Not exactly, but kind of a banker's check. The share broker who sells, ikkada sells yes ravalandi, who sells shares in the apprehension of falling prices of shares is called as. Ante ఏ షేర్ బ్రోకర్ అయితే తన షేర్స్ని అమ్ముతాడో, ఎలా అమ్ముతాడు అంటే ఇప్పుడు అమ్మకపోతే రాబోయే కాలంలో మొత్తం షేర్లు పడిపోతాయి, ఆ భయంతో ఎవరైతే అమ్ముతారో ఆ భయంతో అమ్మేవాడిని మనం ఏమంటాము? హూ ఇస్ ద పర్సన్ కాల్డ్ యాజ్? ఆప్షన్స్ ఆర్ బుల్, డాగ్, బేర్, స్టాగ్. ఓకే, రిమెంబర్ that here the answer is nothing but bear. So bear is a person who actually sells the share in the anticipation of the shares falling down. Whereas when you come to bull is a person who buys the shares in the anticipation of the shares going to rise. And stags are the smart people in the market who buy shares in IPO and sells in secondary market. Whereas dogs, we don't have any term called dogs in a share market. Okay, fine. What does ECS in the banking transactions stand for? ECS. Okay, option A, excess credit supervisor. Option B, extra cash status. Option C, exchange clearing standard. Option A, electronic clearing service. Remember that whenever you go to a bank and take a loan from the bank, now after taking the loan from the bank, you have to pay back that loan back to the bank in the form of something called as EMI. ఎలా కట్టాలండి? EMI రూపంలో మీరు పే చేస్తూ ఉండాలి. ఎవరికి? ఆ బ్యాంక్కి తిరిగి పే చేస్తూ ఉండాలి, రైట్? Now when you wanted to pay the money through EMI, so do you physically go and every month pay? No. Okay, automatically the bank will take a signature on a form allowing you, means you are allowing the bank to deduct money from your account on a particular date every month. Okay, so automatically when the date comes, if you have got money in your account, from your account that money will be cut from your account and will go to the bank's account. This process of automatic deduction of money from your account in the form of electronic system, that's called electronic clearing service. What is that called? ECS, electronic clearing service. So the answer is nothing but electronic clearing service. Next one, cheap money means, what is the meaning of cheap money? So there is something called two concepts. One is called as a dear money and one more is called as a cheap money. One is called as a dear money and one more is called as a cheap money. What is the difference between dear money and cheap money? Dear, when is something dear to you? ఏదైనా ఒకటి మీకు dear, you are more dearer to me అని చెప్పేసి అంటాం. ఓకే, you are more dearer to me అని చెప్పేసి అంటాం. అంటే నా మనసు దగ్గరగా ఉంటుంది, more dearer to me. ఎప్పుడు అంటాం? Anything that is more valuable with you, that is more dearer to you. Yes or no? For example, you have an iPhone with you. So you have got a dabba Nokia phone with you. Now, which is more dearer to you? iPhone is more dearer to you. Why? Because it comes with a heavy cost. It comes with a huge price. What is that? iPhone. Similarly, whenever some money comes to you with a heavy cost, that is more dearer to you. For example, you are borrowing money from someone and the rate of interest is very, very high. Now, what you will do? With that money, you will try to use it very, very efficiently because you did not get that money easily. You got it with a high rate of interest. For example, someone is coming and giving you interest-free loans. Means what? You are not getting it with any effort. You are getting it very, very easily. You are not paying much back to them. So that's called as a cheap money. What is it called as a cheap money? So we are speaking about here cheap money. So cheap money means low rate of interest, low level of saving, low level of income, low level of standard of living. The answer is low rate of interest. Any money that comes with a low rate of interest, that's called as a cheap money. Okay. Variation in cash reserve ratio and open market operations are instruments of. Means what they are saying, cash reserve ratio, open market operations. So you are trying to do something by changing these things. Means either you are increasing the CRR or you are decreasing the CRR. Otherwise, in open market operations, either you are selling the bonds and securities or you are buying the bonds and securities. So when you are doing these things, when you are taking up these two activities, this one is one activity and this is the other activity. When you are taking up these two activities with respect to CRR, cash reserve ratio, and open market operations, what is that called as? So the question is it a budgetary policy? Is it a trade policy? Is it a fiscal policy? Is it a monetary policy? Remember that all these two activities are performed by Reserve Bank of India. And the policy that is controlled by Reserve Bank of India is nothing but monetary policy. What is it called as? Monetary policy. So already I told you what does CRR stands for? Cash reserve ratio. The percentage of NDTL. NDTL stands for what? Net demand and time liabilities. So percentage of net demand and time liabilities that is deposited with RBI, for which no rate of interest is being paid by RBI, that is called as a cash reserve ratio. What is this open market operations? Open market operations are nothing but this is buying and selling of bonds and securities by Reserve Bank of India, either to infuse the liquidity into the market or to squeeze the liquidity from the market. Infusing means what? Sending more money into the market. How do you send more money into the market? You buy bonds and securities, you give money in return for bonds and securities. What is squeezing the money from the market? You are taking away money from the market. How do you take away money from the market? You sell the bonds and you take the money from the market. This is called open market operations. So, it is a part of which policy? Monetary policy. Okay. Next one. Which term is not related to banking? So, which of them are not related to banking? Okay. One is CRR, one is NER, one is SLR, one is fixed deposit. You know CRR, cash reserve ratio, already very clear that there is a part of a banking. Okay. NER, net effective exchange rate. What is that called as a net effective exchange rate? So, is that related to banking? We will see. SLR, statutory liquidity ratio, that is definitely related to banking. What is that? I will tell you. Fixed deposit, you know that you are going and putting money in the bank and the bank will take a certain promise saying that for this amount of period money will be with the bank and bank will offer you certain rate of interest. That is called as fixed deposit. It can be 6 months, It can be 1 year, it can be 5 years, like this. Okay. Now, when you see this, this is clear and first one is clear about these two. First of all, we come to SLR, statutory liquidity ratio. What is the meaning of statutory liquidity ratio? Okay, as per the Act, okay, as per Reserve Bank of India Act, certain percentage of the NDTL, okay, to be maintained with the bank itself, not with RBI, with the bank itself, in the form of liquid assets. In the form of what? Liquid assets. What are liquid assets? It can be cash, it can be gold, it can be gold bonds, SGBs, it can be other bonds and securities. So, in this form, every bank will have to maintain certain percentage of NDTL. Okay, it can be around 18% or something like that. Now, that is called as a statutory liquidity ratio. Why? Because whenever bank wants some liquid cash, they should be readily available with the bank. So, either cash is available, not an issue, but if cash is not available, if these are available, they can give these to someone and they can get a liquid very fast. So, these are easily converted into cash. So, this is called as a statutory liquidity ratio, SLR. So, obviously, that is also related to banking. Coming to NEAT, net effective exchange rate. What is net effective exchange rate? You have got Indian currency, you have got foreign currencies. Now, Indian currency value will be different with different foreign currencies, right? So, with euro, Indian currency will have one value. With the dollar, Indian currency will have one other value. With yuan, Indian currency will have different value. With yen, Indian currency will have different value. Now, we are trying to calculate what is the net effective value of the Indian currency with respect to abroad currency. That is called as net effective exchange rate. What is it called as? Net effective exchange rate. It is nowhere related to banking. It is related to currency market. That is not related to banking. So, here the answer is nothing but NEAR, net effective exchange rate. Debentures holders of a company or its. What is the meaning of debentures? I already told you. What did I tell you? Debentures means medium to long term debt instruments issued by the companies, okay, to borrow money from the market. For example, there is a company called IAC. Now, IAC wants some loan. IAC has issued a debenture. I got some money. Then what I did? I took the debenture. I gave the money to IAC. Now, what am I to IAC? Am I a shareholder of IAC? Am I a creditor of IAC? Am I a debitor of IAC? Am I a director of IAC? If I give loan, will I become a director? Obviously no. Okay. If I give a loan, will I become a shareholder? Obviously no. Coming to creditor and debtor. Okay. See, a creditor is one who gives money. Debtor is one who accepts money. Now, in this case, IAC is a debtor. I am a creditor. So, the right answer is nothing but creditor. What is the right answer? Creditor. One who lends money is called as a creditor. If you are taking loan from the bank, bank is the creditor, you are a debtor. If you are depositing money with the bank, you are a creditor, bank is the debtor. Who has got the liability to pay back is called as a debtor. Got it? So, the answer is nothing but creditor. What does the letter E denote in the term e-banking? So, obviously, essential banking, economic banking, electronic banking, expansion banking. You say e-banking, e-banking is nothing but sit in a laptop and do all the banking services. Obviously, it's nothing but electronic banking. Nothing much to discuss here. Mudra Bank has been launched to help Mudra. First, you should know what is the meaning of Mudra. Micro units development and refinance agency. Micro units development and refinance agency, MUDRA. Basically, if you see exactly, Mudra is meant to help micro enterprises. Is meant to help micro enterprises. Okay. Now, if we see the options, what are the options available? Small businesses, marginal farmers, poor women, rural sector. So, only businesses means these three are not options. Now, only business is only one option available. So, here when they say small, they also meant even micro also, micro small. So, obviously, the answer is one only. But to be very exact, the answer is micro enterprises. As you know that this Mudra came into existence in the year 2015, and we also scheme called as the Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. So, in Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, when you see, they are trying to give loans under three sections. One is Shishu, Kishore and Tarun, right? So, when you see in these things, under Kishore, they will give loans up to 50,000, Okay, in Kishore they will give up to loans 5 lakh, and in this one they will give up to loans 10 lakhs. So up to 50,000 in Shishu, 50,000 to 5 lakhs is Kishore, and 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs is nothing but Tarun. So like this they are trying to help micro units development refinance agency. Okay. It started as a subsidiary of SIDBI, Small Industries Development Bank of India. Smart money term is used for FOR. This is not FIR, it is a FOR. Okay. Option A, credit card. Option B, internet banking. Option E, e-banking, and option D, cash with the public. See here, smart currency or plastic currency. Smart money, or it's called as a plastic money. What is this smart money or a plastic money? See here, smart money or plastic money basically refers to cards. There is nothing but a credit card here. Okay. So when you have got card, you don't carry any cash with you. You can make the payment anywhere you want. Okay. Online you can make the payment. You can go and swipe in. You can make the payment. You can just through RFID. You can just show that card near to that machine, and you can make the payment. It's like smart money. Okay. Government takes ways and means advances from option A, RBI, option B, IDBI, Industrial Development Bank of India, option C, State Bank of India, option D, ICICI, Industrial Credit and Investment Corporation of India. Now, what is that called as a ways and means of advances? What exactly is this ways and means of advances? You know that in this country we have got 28 states. How many states? 28 states. Now, whenever states are running out of funds, for example, during COVID time, there is not much income to the states. Now, states are running into deficit. Now, when states are running into deficit, when they wanted to borrow some money, they can borrow money from RBI. They can borrow money from RBI, and thus method is called as ways and means of advances. Recently, because of COVID-19, the ways and means of advances has been increased very recently, and they increase it to a greater extent, and also they promise that again they will come back to normal. So it is basically meant to help state governments. That is very, very clear. State governments when they are facing any deficit. Okay, it is a kind of a loan extended by Reserve Bank of India. Generally, they will be very close to repo rate. The bank checks are processed by using OCR, MICR, OMR, PMR. OMR, you know, the one that you use to write your examinations. Coming to answer is nothing, MICR. Magnetic ink character recognition. What is that called as? Magnetic ink character recognition. You know that when you take any check, you have got something called as a 6-digit code, and you also got something called as a 9-digit code. Yes or no? 9-digit code. Now, this is called as a check number, and this is called as a MICR code. Okay, MICR code refers to the bank, to the city, and the branch. Okay, so like this, MICR, using MICR code, they will try to process the check. So it is a 9-digit code. Remember that. When was the Minimum Wages Act enacted in India? So we have got option A as 1936, option B as 1948, option C 1951, option 1956. So the answer is 1948. So in the year 1948, the Minimum Wages Act was enacted, and this act says that every labor should be provided minimum of this amount of wages. So answer is 1948. Reserve Bank of India was nationalized in the year. I told you just now that I think in the other class we took in 1934 Reserve Bank of India Act was passed. Okay. In 1935 RBI came into establishment. In 1937 the Reserve Bank of India headquarters moved from Kolkata to Mumbai. In 1943, I told you that the first RBI, Indian RBI governor, C.D. Deshmukh took charge, right? And very, very important, his term was till 1949, and in the same year 1949, RBI was nationalized, whose value was estimated at 5 crores of rupees. So this amount of money was given to the private holders of the RBI, and it was nationalized by Government of India. So very, very important in the year 1949. So the answer is nothing but 1949. Which of the following is called as a banker's check? Just now I told you what is that called, banker's check. Remember that the answer is nothing but demand draft. Okay, what is that called as? Demand draft. Now why is demand draft called as a banker's check? See, whenever you give a check to someone, they may not believe you because you may not maintain balance in that account. But if you wanted to give more assurance to the person, okay, you wanted to give him a check which has got more assurance, then what you can do is that instead of holding money in your account, okay, you may tell that you will give me check now, immediately you take the money away and money will not be there when you go to bank. So what you can do, take that money and put it in a bank and ask the bank manager to issue a check in the name of the bank. That's called as a banker's check. So as long as your money is away, your money is blocked with the bank is giving a check called as a banker's check. So that person will immediately accept that without any doubt, because there is a guarantee that the money will be there in that account and he can draw that money anytime he wants. So that is called as a banker's check. So demand draft is also works the same way. Whenever you are paying some fees to some college or something, you take a DD. What is that? You are going and depositing money in the bank, taking a DD, they are giving you a check and everything, right? DD. Okay, there is nothing but a banker's check. Clear. IPO, what does IPO stands for? Initial public offer. What does FD stands for? Fixed deposit. What does RD stands for? Recurring deposit. Remember that FD and RD, these are called as time deposits. What are they called as? Time deposits. FD and RD are called as time deposits. And initial public offer, it is nothing but it's a event of issuing the shares to the public, okay, for the first time when the company enters into the stock market. So whenever a company is coming to stock market for the first time, if it is issuing the shares to the public, that event, that scenario is called as IPO, initial public offer. So here the answer is nothing but demand draft. In which year was the Reserve Bank of India abolished under the Reserve Bank? In which year Reserve Bank of India established, not abolished, I'm sorry, established under the Reserve Bank Act? Already I said that Reserve Bank of India Act was passed in 1934 and RBI came into establishment in the year 1935. So 34 is the period of Act and 35 is the establishment of Reserve Bank of India. So answer is nothing but 1935. Who implements monetary policy in India? Already we discussed the fiscal policy, the responsibility is with Government of India, and the monetary policy responsibility with the Reserve Bank of India. So answer is nothing but Reserve Bank of India. Niti Aayog is a replacement of Planning Commission, and Ministry of Finance is related to all the budget and other stuffs, and Parliament will enact laws with respect to everything in the country. Okay, everything, all the laws will be enacted by the Parliament. What is the full form of CRR? Options: cash return ratio, cash reserve ratio, cash revenue ratio, cash return ratio. So twice is the same option. Okay, but they'll say among these three, the answer is nothing but cash reserve ratio. What is that called as? Cash reserve ratio. Already I told you twice till now. Okay, that cash reserve ratio is nothing but it's the percentage of the net demand and time liabilities to be maintained with the Reserve Bank of India, for which Reserve Bank of India will not give any interest to banks. So that is called as cash reserve ratio. What is that called as? Cash reserve ratio. If I am not wrong, right now it is 3.35%. Okay, and remember that 3%, I guess, yeah. And remember that when you come to this NDTL, net demand and time liabilities, remember from bank's perspective, liability is nothing but a deposit. Because whenever a customer is giving deposit to bank, then bank will have to what? Will have to repay that money back. So this is called as liability. Demand liability, time liability. Demand means what? Whenever customer demands, you have to give money. What kind of money is that? Savings account and current account. Time liability. What is the time liability? Time liability is nothing but the customer will have to come and ask only after fixed maturity period. There is nothing but fixed deposit and recurring deposit. So the net value of savings account, current account, fixed deposit, recurring deposit, as a percentage of that money, okay, some percent to be deposited with Reserve Bank of India, that is called as the cash reserve ratio. What is the full form of FICCI? Okay, Option A, Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Federation of International Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Federation of Innovation Chambers and Commerce and Industry, Federation of Iranian Chambers of Commerce and Industry. Remember that the answer is nothing but option A. Actually, FICCI is actually the voice of Indian industries. So, whenever industries have got certain problems, if industries wanted to bring some reforms, industries wanted to impact certain policies, if industries wanted to come up with new ideas, okay, if there should be someone who bridges the gap between industries and the government, everything is done by FICCI, Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry. Very, very important. The answer is option A. Functional finance is associated with option A Adams, option B Adam Smith, option C Adolf Wagner, option B Abba P. Lerner. So, functional finance is a term which is associated with Mr. Abba P. Lerner. So, he is also an economist. Okay, Abba P. Lerner is the one who actually came up with this terminology called as a functional finance. What is it called as a functional finance? Okay, so it is something related to how the economy works and all those things. So, on that he has come up with these things. Okay. By which of the following organizations is stock market regulated? I already told you stock market is part of a capital market. Now, who is the regulator of the capital market? Option A, National Stock Exchange, option B, Bombay Stock Exchange, option C, Reserve Bank of India, option B, Securities and Exchange Board of India. I told you that in capital markets, NSE and BSE are the players, or they are the platforms, they are not the regulators. Reserve Bank of India regulates the money market. Reserve Bank of India regulates the money market. But when you come to SEBI, SEBI is the one who regulates the capital markets in the country. And remember that SEBI came into existence in the year 1988. It became a statutory body by passing a SEBI Act in the year 1992. And the headquarters of SEBI is nothing but Mumbai. And the chairman of SEBI is nothing but Ajay Tyagi. Who is that? Ajay Tyagi. And very, very important, there is an educational wing for SEBI, and the educational wing for SEBI is called as NISM, National Institute for Security Markets. That is the educational wing of SEBI. India is the balance of payments can be corrected through how? How do you correct the balance of payments? What is the balance of payment? First you should understand that. Balance of payments issue. See, balance of payments are nothing but generally whenever India is dealing with other countries, India deals basically with two types of accounts. What two types of accounts? One is called as a current account and other one is called as a capital account. One is called as a current account, another one is called as a capital account. Now, money will flow into the current account, money will go out of the current account. Money will come into the capital account, money will go out of the capital account. Okay. Any money that comes on a day-to-day basis, such as in the form of exports, in the form of inward remittances, in the form of foreigners visiting India, that money will come into the current account. Any money that goes out on a regular basis, such as in the form of imports, in the form of outward remittances, in the form of Indians visiting abroad, money goes into from the current account. Yes or no? So, like this, money will come, money will go. Now, whatever the money that is going, we have to pay. We have to do it how? By using the money that is coming in. Sometimes what happens, the incoming value of the currency will be less, outgoing value of the currency will be high. Then there is a problem in the current account that is called as current account deficit. What is that called as? Current account deficit. Now, when there is a current account deficit, how do you get the problem? How do you get the problem done? Now, you should have more incoming money. How do you get more incoming money? Either you try to get it sorted out using capital account money, otherwise you have to see to that more money is coming into the current account. How is it possible? We will see that. First one, devaluation of currency. Will devaluation of currency will help solve this problem? Yes. How? For example, when the rupee currency value goes down, rupee becomes cheaper. So, if you got rupee with you, you can buy anything in India. Now, with respect to foreign currency, rupee is cheaper. So, foreign people can buy things from India at a cheaper price. So, obviously, more people will buy from Indian product, more people will buy Indian products, means what? More exports. So, we are getting more money in the form of exports. Second one, vigorous export promotion. Do more exports, you get more money. Import substitution means what? Whatever you are importing. For example, you are importing oil. Reduce the import of oil, go for electric cars. When you do that, what will happen? Your payments also will come down. Your payments also will come down. Means what? Your incoming value should be increased, your outgoing value should be reduced. So obviously, all the three are doing the same functionality. So the answer is nothing but all of the above. So in order to tide over this problem, in order to reduce this balance of payments problem, you have to perform all these functionalities. Devalue your currency, promote your exports, reduce your imports. Okay. The major aim of devaluation is to, what is the ultimate aim of devaluation? Just now we spoke, right? Encourage imports? No. Encourage exports? Yes. Encourage both exports, imports? No. Discourage both exports, imports? No. Only the answer is nothing but encouraging exports. So when you devaluate, the Indian goods becomes cheaper and more abroad people will buy Indian goods. So that's how you achieve nothing but encouraging exports by devaluation of your currency. Foreign currency which has a tendency of quick migration is called as foreign currency which has a tendency of quick migration. Option A is scarce currency, option B soft currency, option C hard currency, option D hot currency. Here the answer is nothing but hot currency. Hot currency is nothing but it is the currency that is accepted in most number of countries. Hot. Okay, this currency is hot. Okay, if you have got that currency with you, you can buy anything from any country. That's called as hot currency. Now, what is this scarce currency? So that currency which is very limited availability, that's called as scarce currency. Okay, there are some currencies that is not that available. Okay, for trading. And soft currency. Soft currency is a weak currency. Weak currency means what? The value will go up and down very fast. So there will be more fluctuation in the value of the currency. What is the meaning of hard currency? Very stable currency, strong currency is called as hard currency. So more accepted, more it keeps on. To be exactly frank, okay, foreign currency has tendency for quick migration. Means what? Means exactly, I'll tell you what exactly is the meaning of hard currency. For example, there is some currency with me. What am I doing? I am coming to India, I am investing in India, because in India I am getting good rate of returns. For example, suddenly if I see that I am getting good returns from Singapore, immediately I will take this money and go to Singapore. For example, immediately I see that there is good returns in China, immediately I will take that money and go to again China. So like this, whichever moves very fast, that actually is called as a hot currency. What is it called as a hot currency? Okay, so that is the difference. So answer is nothing but hot currency. Next one. Which unit of valuation is known as paper gold? Actually, here we have got options euro dollar, petrodollar, SDR, GDR. The answer is SDR. SDR stands for special drawing rights. Special drawing rights. And to be very specific, it is not even called as a gold paper gold. It is actually called as a accounting entry. So remember that this special drawing rights is actually something issued by International Monetary Fund, IMF. So whenever a country is facing balance of payment crisis, to help the country to come out of the balance of payment crisis, IMF will extend some help, and that help is called as special drawing rights. Okay, so when you take your gold and deposit with IMF as a surety, they will give you the SDRs. These SDRs can be converted into foreign currencies, international currencies, and you can do the trade. Okay, so here the paper gold they are trying to refer to special drawing rights, and anyway remaining or never a paper gold. So to some extent these are right answer. Short-term loans to correct the balance of payment problem is given by, just now we made a mention of that. What is that? IMF, International Monetary Fund. What is that called as International Monetary Fund? Remember that the decision to set up IMF came into existence in the year 1944. Okay, and IMF came into establishment in the year 1945. Decision was taken in 1944, established in 1945, and the headquarters of IMF is nothing but Washington DC. What is that called as Washington DC? Washington DC is the headquarters of International Monetary Fund. Very important. Not only that, we have got Kristalina Georgieva. Who is the MD and CEO of IMF? Kristalina Georgieva. See, CMD of IMF agency, CMD of International Monetary Fund, very, very important. Okay. IBRD, International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, this also came into existence in the year 1944, and later on this completely along with its other divisions became World Bank. IDA, International Development Association, it is also part of a World Bank. So both IBRD and IDA are part of a World Bank. Okay. And ADB, Asian Development Bank. Asian Development Bank is something like, you know, counter to World Bank. And Asian Development Bank was initiated by Japan, and India is the second biggest holder or shareholder in Asian Development Bank. Headquarters of Asian Development Bank is present in Manila, Philippines. And Masatsugu Asakawa, what is that name? Masatsugu Asakawa is the President of Asian Development Bank. Very, very important. Established in the year 1966. Now we have got 68 countries as members of Asian Development Bank. Earlier we had Takehiko Nakao. Now is it Masatsugu Asakawa? A trade policy consists of option A, export-import policy, option B, licensing policy, option C, foreign exchange policy, option C, balance of payment policy. Remember that trade policy is all about exports and imports. So the answer is nothing but export-import policy. Last time we had got a trade policy in the year 2015. It is meant to be till 2020. Now we will be again getting a new trade policy. We are going to get a new trade policy. So as a part of trade policy, they will try to see how do we promote exports, how do we get more foreign currency, how do we be on a safer side without landing up into balance of payment crisis. Okay. Globalization of Indian economy denotes what? Option A, increase of external borrowings. Option B, having minimum intervention in economic relations with other countries. Option C, starting of new business units abroad. Option D, reaction the programmers of import substitution. See here, basically when you come to this globalization, what is the meaning of globalization? Okay, Prapanchikarana, ante enti? You go to abroad, establish your companies in abroad. Abroad countries also will come here and establish companies here. Okay, that's called as globalization. Now, if we see what exactly, which option denotes that? If we see the option number C, starting of new business units abroad is actually going to refer to globalization. Be global. What is the full form of FDI? Very, very important. What is the full form of FDI? FDI stands for foreign direct investments. So what is the options here? Foreign direct input, no. Foreign direct investment, yes. Fiscal direct investment, no. Fiscal direct input, no. So answer is foreign direct investment. Remember that what exactly is a foreign direct investment? It is an investment made by a foreigner entity in another country in the form of either establishing a new business or taking over the existing business. అంటే లేనటువంటి కొత్త బిజినెస్ని ఎస్టాబ్లిష్ చేయడం కానీ ఆల్రెడీ ఉన్నటువంటి ఒక బిజినెస్ వీళ్ళు టేక్ ఓవర్ చేసుకోవడం కానీ దాన్ని ఏమంటామంటే ఫారిన్ డైరెక్ట్ ఇన్వెస్ట్మెంట్స్ అంటాం. గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి, ఫారిన్ డైరెక్ట్ ఇన్వెస్ట్మెంట్ ఒకవేళ రావాలి అంటే ఇట్ షుడ్ బి అప్రూవ్డ్ బై డిఐపిపి, డిపార్ట్మెంట్ ఫర్ ఇండస్ట్రియల్ పాలసీ అండ్ ప్రమోషన్స్. Then after that it should be approved by respective ministry. After respective ministry approves that, it should be approved by Reserve Bank of India. In case if the value of the foreign direct investment is more than 5,000 crores, then that approval will happen through Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. So that is how foreign direct investments are allowed into the country. Okay, and it is important to know for which industry what is the maximum FDI limit allowed. Okay, that's also important. During which 5-year plan did India lay down the objective of the need to ensure environmental sustainability development? Okay, so environment, or you can say sustainable development goals are part of which 5-year plan? Okay, option A 6th 5-year plan, option B 7th 5-year plan, option C 8th 5-year plan, option D 12th 5-year plan. So the answer is 12th 5-year plan, because 12th 5-year plan is from 2012 to 2017. It is during this 5-year plan that the sustainable development was given a more importance, because throughout the world global warming and many other issues are coming up. So even our India also in align with the foreign, or in align with the world, we are also having a sustainable development goals. Okay, so obviously sustainable development or environmental sustainability is a part of this 5-year plan. The highest body which approves the 5-year plan in India is, who approves? Okay, option A Planning Commission, option B National Development Council, option C Finance Minister, option D Union Cabinet. Remember that the 5-year plans were prepared by Planning Commission. But after Planning Commission prepares the 5-year plans, they are approved by National Development Council. So Planning Commission came into existence in the year 1950. National Development Council came into existence in the 1952. All the plans proposed by Planning Commission will be approved by National Development Council, who will be headed by Prime Minister. Okay. Even Planning Commission is also headed by Prime Minister. NDC is also headed by Prime Minister. Okay. But NDC coordinates with the states and approves the 5-year plans. Which one of the following is not correct? First 5-year plan 1951 to 56, correct. Third 5-year plan 1961 to 66, correct. Fifth 5-year plan 1974 to 79, correct. 12th 5-year plan 2007 to 2012, no, it is nothing but 11th 5-year plan. So answer is nothing but D. Answer is nothing but D. The period of the 11th 5-year plan is 2005 to 2010, 2006 to 2011, 2007 to 2012. Obviously, this is the answer because just now we saw a question, right? So the answer is nothing but option C is the period of the 11th 5-year plan. Remember that 11th 5-year plan is the most successful 5-year plan in the history of Planning Commission. Most successful 5-year plan in the history of Planning Commission. What is that 11th 5-year plan? The most failure 5-year plan in the history of Planning Commission is nothing but third 5-year plan. Okay, there are various reasons why it was failure, like India-China war, okay, India-Pakistan war, okay, and we had a good drought. All these things are responsible for the third 5-year plan failure. Which of the following is not part of a national income? So obviously, which of the part is not part of a national income? Okay, option A wages and salaries, option B profits, option C rent, option D interest on national debt. See here, wages and salaries. Wages and salaries are my income. Obviously, I am a national of this country, so my income will be regarded as a part of a national income. Profits. Profits is the income earned by the entrepreneur. So obviously, it is also one person's income. That is also part of a national income. Rent. Rent is the income of a landowner. So obviously, his income is also part of a national income. But when you come to interest on national debt, if India has taken some loan from someone and if India is paying some interest, that is not considered to be a part of a national income. So answer is nothing but option D is the right answer here. Who had estimated national income in India first? Okay, who has for the first time estimated national income in India? Option A V.K. R.B. Rao, option B Dadabhai Naoroji, option C R. Siddhartha, option D D.R. Gadgil. Remember that here two things. First of all, for the first time in India, the national income was estimated by Dadabhai Naoroji, who is called as the Grand Old Man of India. What is he called as? Grand Old Man of India, Dadabhai Naoroji. And for the first time, technically, scientifically, the national income was estimated by Dr. V.K. R.B. Rao. But here they are not asking about scientific estimation, they are just asking who is the first person to estimate national income? Is Dadabhai Naoroji. Remember that Dadabhai Naoroji is also a person who also estimated for the first time poverty in India. Dadabhai Naoroji is a multifaceted personality. He is an author, he is an economist, he is a statistician, he is a politician. So he has got multiple talents in him, Dadabhai Naoroji. Okay, he is basically a Parsi. Maulana Bis model has been associated with which 5-year plan? P.C. Maulana Bis. Remember that. He is called as the father of Indian statistics. And P.C. Maulana Bis' birthday is celebrated as June 29th as a National Statistics Day. Okay. And he is the person who is responsible for the establishment of Indian Statistical Institute. Indian Statistical Institute came into establishment in the name of P.C. Maulana Bis. He is responsible for that. Okay. And remember that the second 5-year plan model was proposed by P.C. Maulana. So answer is nothing but the second 5-year plan. June 29th is the National Statistics Day. The main difference between the gross domestic product and the gross national product is, okay. So what is that asking? What is the difference between GNP and GDP? GDP. Gross national product, national. Gross domestic product, domestic. Now, if you want to know what is the total value of the income of the country, national level, okay, what is being produced within the country, to that add or subtract net factor income from abroad. Net factor income from abroad. For example, you are getting something to the country, do plus. If you are losing something from the country, do minus. Then that is nothing but gross national product. Now, the difference between gross national product and gross domestic product is nothing but NFIA. So what is the answer here? A is nothing but transfer payments, no. Net factory income from abroad, yes. Capital consumption, no. Capital gains, no. So answer is nothing but net foreign income from abroad. Net factor, actually it's called as a factor, not foreign. Net factor income from abroad, because in the abroad is there, that's the foreign. Okay, net factor is the typo. Okay, net factor income from abroad is the right answer for this. The planned holiday was declared after, see, planned holiday, option A, the first 5-year plan, option B, the 7th 5-year plan, option C, the second 5-year plan, option D, 4th 5-year plan. Now we will try to get the years, then it will be very clear for us to answer. First 5-year plan, 1951 to 56. After this, immediately we started the second 5-year plan, so no planned holiday. 7th 5-year plan, 1985 to 1990. Remember that this is a 7th 5-year plan. Okay, we'll see that. Second 5-year plan, 1956 to 1961. Okay, 4th 5-year plan, 1969 to 1974. Remember that after 56 we had again second 5-year plan. So obviously this is not an answer. After 61 to 66 we have got third 5-year plan. So this is also not an answer. This is not an answer. 69 to 74 we had again 5th 5-year plan 74 to 79. So this is not answer. The answer is this one, because between 1990 to 92 there was no plan. Okay, we had a 8th 5-year plan from 1992 to 1997. So those 2 years is called as the planned holiday. So the answer is nothing but the 7th 5-year plan is the right answer. Okay, next one. The second plan gave priority to, remember that the first 5-year plan gave priority to agriculture, the second 5-year plan gave priority to heavy industries. That is the reason establishment of many industries such as iron and steel industries took place in second 5-year plan. So option is nothing but heavy industries. So this is the right answer for this. And the first 5-year plan gave importance to agriculture. Okay, these are important. Third 5-year plan gave importance to both agriculture and industries, like that. So this with respect to answer is nothing but heavy industries is the right answer for this. Okay. Gadgil Committee report and Kasturi Rangan Committee report sometimes seen in the news are related to option A, constitutional reforms, option B, Ganga Action Plan, option C, linking of rivers, option D, production of Western Ghats. Remember that Gadgil Committee and Kasturi Rangan Committee, both of them have given report on the production of Western Ghats. Very, very important. Western Ghats are very, very important for the climatic conditions of the India. Okay, very, very important is nothing but Western Ghats. It is a place where most of the rivers are originated in a peninsular plateau. So this is a very, very important. So it's important to protect the Western Ghats. Okay, and the southwest monsoon, everything is related to this Western Ghats only. Okay, and remember that even places like Telangana, they don't receive rainfall because they are in the rain shadow region of Western Ghats. But other places will receive a lot of rainfall because they are out of the rain shadow region. So a lot of things related to Western Ghats. So answer is nothing but Western Ghats. Consider the following statements. The Sustainable Development Goals are first proposed in 1972 by a global think tank called Club of Rome. The Sustainable Development Goals have to be achieved by 2030. So which of the statements given above is correct? Obviously first statement is wrong, and coming to the second statement, it is the right statement. So answer is nothing but 2 only. Remember that earlier we had something called Millennium Development Goals, MDG. Now in place of Millennium Development Goals, we have got Sustainable Development Goals, and we have got 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and these 17 Sustainable Development Goals to be achieved by 2030. So option 2 is the right answer for this. Okay. Next one. In India, markets in agriculture products are regulated under the option A, Essential Commodities Act 1995, option B, Agriculture Produce Marketing Committee Act enacted by states, Agriculture Produce Act 1937, Food Products Order 1956, and Medium Food Products Order 1973. Obviously, you can see that these two are not the right answers. You have got option from this and this. Okay. Remember that Essential Commodities Act will come into picture only when the country is facing some crisis. But generally, what are they asking? Markets in agriculture products are regulated by. The answer is Agriculture Produce Market Committee Act by the states. So they are in short called as APMCs. agriculture producing market committee, which refer to the market yards present in different places of the country. We got almost 585 APMCs in the country. Very important. The problem of international liquidity is related to non-availability of option A, goods and services, option B, gold and silver, option C, dollars and other hard currencies, option C, exportable surplus. See, what is asking? International liquidity. Liquidity is nothing but non-availability of foreign currency. When you don't have sufficient foreign currency available with you, obviously you cannot trade in the international market. So, international liquidity is something associated with the dollars and other hard currency. When I say hard currency, already I told you what is the meaning of hard currency. Hard currencies are one of the most stable currencies present, okay, whose value does not fluctuate that easily. They are called as hard currencies. Okay. Next one. With reference to Indian economy, consider the following statements. The rate of growth of our real gross domestic product has steadily increased in the last decade. The gross domestic product has steadily increased in the last decade. See, there's a small difference between 1 and 2. What is one? One is saying the rate of growth of GDP. Here they are just saying GDP. Remember that last 1 decade, GDP has increased, but the growth rate of GDP did not increase. If you see, when UPA government was in power, we had a growth rate of very close to 8%, but now we are having a growth rate of less than 5%. Doesn't mean that GDP decreased. GDP increased, but the rate of increase actually reduced. So obviously option 2 is right. The answer is only 2. Okay. With reference to Indian economy, consider the following. Option A, bank rate. Option B, open market operation. Option C, public debt. Option 4, public revenue. Which of the following is a component or components of monetary policy? I already told you that monetary policy is something which is regulated by Reserve Bank of India. Now, if you see among all these things which are regulated by Reserve Bank of India, bank rate is regulated by Reserve Bank of India, open market operation is regulated by Reserve Bank of India. When you come to these things, these are under the purview of Government of India. So, they come under the fiscal policy. What is the part of fiscal policy? But top 2 things are part of monetary policy. So, under monetary policy, we get only 2 things. This is bank rate and open market operations. So, 1 and 2 only. So, option C is the right answer here. Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana has been launched for what? Option A, provisioning housing loan to poor people at cheaper interest rates, promoting women self-help groups in backward areas, promoting financial inclusion in the country, providing financial help to the marginalized communities. Remember that when you come to this first option, it is a part of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Okay, providing housing loans at a lesser interest rate or a subsidized interest rate. Okay, when you come to promoting women self-help groups in backward areas, we got lot of Mahalakshmi groups present which are trying to do this. Okay, coming to financial help to marginal communities, under priority sector lending, you are also giving some percent of loan to marginal sectors, and there are lot of schemes for the marginal communities. Okay, every scheme will be implemented for marginal communities. But when asking about the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, the purpose of the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana is nothing but to provide all types of financial services to all sections of society at affordable price. It is possible only if you have a bank account. It will be easy to provide all types of financial services. Obviously, to achieve financial inclusion, you have got this Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. Remember that Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana started in 2014 in the month of August 28th. Okay, this is one of the important scheme, and this is one scheme which was able to provide bank accounts to more than 30 crore population in the country. Okay, and it also entered into the Guinness Book of World Records for opening 12 crore accounts in a span of just 3 months. And remember, this scheme called Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana not only provides bank account, they also will provide something called as a credit also of 10,000 rupees cash credit. Okay, so a lot of facilities are there. They also provide life insurance. They also provide accidental insurance also if we just open a bank account. So very, very important scheme is the PMJDY, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. Very, very successful program. A closed economy is an economy in which option A, money supply is fully controlled, option B, deficit financing takes place, option C, only exports take place, option C, D, neither exports nor import takes place. When you say closed economy, you neither deal with others, others neither deal with you. So you are only dealing with yourself. That's called as a closed economy. Means there will not be any exports, there will not be any imports. So answer is nothing but option D is the right answer. Neither exports nor imports takes place. Economic growth is usually coupled with. How is economic growth happens? Option A, deflation. Option B, inflation. Option C, stagflation. Option D, hyperinflation. Remember that when you come to this, already we discussed a lot about these topics. Deflation is nothing but decrease in the price of goods and services. Inflation is nothing but increase in the price of goods and services. Stagflation is nothing but increase in the price of goods and services, but no growth, no employment. No growth, no employment. Okay. But when you come to this hyperinflation, very high increase in the price of goods and services. Obviously, this is not useful. This is not useful. Deflation, when the prices decreases, economy will not grow fast. Economy will not grow fast. Why? When the prices are coming down, the supplier or the producer will not be happy because he's selling at a lesser price. So there is not going to encourage him. But when the prices are increasing normally in the form of inflation, what happens? Because of increase in the prices, okay, this will result for the producer being happy. So producer, what he will do? He will increase the production. When increase the production, obviously what will happen? Employment will be increased. At the same time, growth also will be happening. So price increase is nothing but inflation. So inflation is normally coupled with the growth. So only when there is inflation, then you can see growth happening in the country. So definitely there should be certain percentage of inflation present in the country. Which of the following terms indicates a mechanism used by the commercial banks for providing credit to the government? So what is that saying? Commercial banks providing credit to the government. So what is the mechanism used? First one, cash credit ratio, no. Debt service obligation, no. Liquidity adjustment facility, here RBI provides to banks. Statutory liquidity ratio. Remember that when I spoke about statutory liquidity ratio, I told you that certain percentage of NDTL to be maintained by the banks with themselves in the form of what? Cash, gold, sovereign gold bonds and government bonds and securities. Now, when a bank has to maintain all these things, for example, if bank wants some bonds and securities, who will provide these bonds and securities? Government can provide these bonds and securities. So what bank will do? Bank will tell to Government of India saying that I will give you loan to you. I will give you a loan to Government of India. Now give me what? Bonds and securities and pay me some interest, less rate of interest. Why these bonds and securities? For this loan, this is like a security. Along with security, they'll get some rate of interest. Now, since RBI is asking the banks to maintain statutory liquidity ratio, there is obligation under compulsory, bank compulsory, ఇలా మెయింటైన్ చేయాల్సిందే. కాబట్టి ఏం చేస్తుంది? ఓకే, గవర్నమెంట్కి మనకు కొద్ది లోన్స్ ఇస్తే గవర్నమెంట్ మనకు బాండ్స్ అండ్ సెక్యూరిటీస్ ఇస్తుంది. ఓకే, లోన్ రీపే చేసిన తర్వాత తీసుకెళ్ళిపోతుంది. కాబట్టి బాండ్స్ అండ్ సెక్యూరిటీస్ తెచ్చుకోవడానికి ఇది ఒక విధానం, ఇది ఒక అవకాశం అని చెప్పేసి ఏం చేస్తుందంటే గవర్నమెంట్కి లోన్స్ ఇచ్చేసి బాండ్స్ అండ్ సెక్యూరిటీస్ తెచ్చుకుంటుంది. ప్రైవేట్ వ్యక్తులకు లోన్స్ ఇస్తే బాండ్స్ అండ్ సెక్యూరిటీస్ దొరకవు, కానీ గవర్నమెంట్కి ఇస్తే దొరుకుతుంది. కాబట్టి to provide more loans to the government, the mechanism used is nothing but statutory liquidity ratio. Okay. In the context of Indian economy, consider the following pairs, terms and most appropriate description. Meltdown, falling stock prices. Recession, falling growth rate. Slowdown, falling GDP. So meltdown is okay, this is correct, no doubt in that. Coming to recession, see, there is something like slowdown and recession. Recession is a serious form of a slowdown. So if you say slowdown and recession, recession is more serious, slowdown is less serious. Now if you say falling growth rate or falling GDP, falling GDP is more serious because GDP value is decreasing. Falling growth rate is not more serious. GDP value is increasing but not at a faster growth rate. Okay, so more serious is falling GDP, so more serious is recession. Less serious is falling growth rate, so less serious is slowdown in economy. Means what? Only one is true, these both are false. So only one is the right answer here. Okay, one only. With which of the following as the B.K. Chaturvedi committee dealt? First one, review of state central relations, review of delimitation act, tax reforms and measure to increase revenue, and price reforms in the oil sector. What committee they are asking? B.K. Chaturvedi committee. B.K. Chaturvedi committee is meant for tax reforms and how to increase the government revenue in the form of taxes. So option is nothing but option C is the right answer. Tax reforms and measures to increase the government revenue. What is that? B.K. Chaturvedi committee. Remember, certain committees are very, very important, like Narasimhan committee. So Gadgil report, all these are very, very important. During which 5-year plan was the emergency clamped, new elections took place and the Janata Party elected? Very important. We already had a discussion on this. I told you that 5th 5-year plan 1974 to 1979. But if you remember that in the year 1975, there was emergency declared by Indira Gandhi. Why emergency was declared by Indira Gandhi? Because Indira Gandhi, after getting elected to the parliament, there was a case filed in Allahabad High Court saying that Indira Gandhi has misused power to win the elections. The one who lost the elections to Indira Gandhi has filed a case. Then Allahabad High Court has directed Indira Gandhi to resign from being the member of parliament and step down as the prime minister of the country. Then Indira Gandhi did not like that. Then Indira Gandhi immediately said that I am going to announce emergency. In emergency, only president will be ruling the country, but president will be ruling only with the direction of the prime minister. So that is how she thought of controlling the country through emergency. Now when the emergency came up, everywhere military people were there all over the country, so they were not allowing people to gather, all those things. It was like anarchy. Then after that we got elections. In the elections, Indira Gandhi was lost very, very badly. Indira Gandhi lost very, very badly. So that is one example which says in the democratic country nothing is permanent. So earlier, until that point of time, people never thought that Indira Gandhi will be lost because India means Indira, Indira means India. That was the case. But Indira Gandhi lost power for the first time. Okay. And after this Janata government came into existence, that is the reason the 5th 5-year plan ended in 78 only. From 1978 to 1983 was something planned as a rolling plan. But this also did not continue because Indira Gandhi came back to power in 1980 and again she started with the 6th 5-year plan in 1980 to 1985. So rolling plan also ended in 1980. So the question asked is, during which 5-year plan was the emergency clamped, new election took place and the Janata Party was elected? It happened during the 5th 5-year plan. Okay. And remember that the 5th 5-year plan was the successful 5-year plan. After Indira Gandhi becoming the prime minister, all the 5-year plans were failure. The first 5-year plan which gave success to Indira Gandhi is the 5th 5-year plan. But she lost the election in the same 5-year plan. It is like, operation success, patient dead. Okay. Same thing happened with Indira Gandhi, 1974 to 1979. Consider the following statements regarding Indian planning. The second 5-year plan emphasized on the establishment of heavy industries. Absolutely right. The third 5-year plan introduced the concept of input substitution as a strategy for industrialization. Very good, actually. See, here what they thought is that they thought of providing alternatives, sustainable development. Okay, not sustainable, you can say self-reliance. So rather than depending on abroad countries for a long period of time, we should depend on ourselves. So that one also brought out in the third 5-year plan. So that is the reason in third 5-year plan they give more importance to both agriculture and industries. Okay, so obviously both 1 and 2 is the right answer here. Tarapur committee was associated with which one of the following? Option A, special economic zone. Option B, fuller capital account convertibility. Option C, foreign exchange reserves. Option D, effect of oil prices on the Indian economy. It is basically on the full capital account convertibility. Fuller capital account convertibility is nothing but how do we use our capital account money to own assets in abroad. All this is part of a full capital account convertibility. So that was proposed by Tarapur committee. So answer is nothing but option B is the right answer. Which one of the following is the correct sequence in the decreasing order of the contribution of different sectors in the gross domestic product of India? I already told you that when we spoke about sectors of an economy, I told you we have got primary sector, we got secondary sector, we have got tertiary sector. Now out of these three sectors, I told you that the primary sector is the largest employing sector in the country. and tertiary sector is the largest contributing sector in the country. So they are asking about the contribution hierarchy. So obviously first will be tertiary sector, second will be industrial sector, third will be the primary sector. Now if we see option A, services sector, industry sector, agriculture sector, this is the right answer. If I suppose service, agriculture is not secondary, it should be here, so this is the wrong answer. Industry should be here, service should be here, so this is also wrong answer. Industry should come here, agriculture should come here, service should come here, so this is also wrong answer. So the right answer is nothing but option A is the right answer. First largest contributor is service sector with 53% contribution, and the least contributor is primary sector with 17% contribution. So answer is nothing but option A is the right answer. Which of the following pairs are correctly matched enterprises and industrial groups? VSNL, Bharti Group, Mundra Special Economic Zone, Adani Group, CMC Limited, Tata Group, IPCL, Reliance Group. Remember that Indian Petroleum Corporation Limited is actually now owned by Reliance Group because it has taken some stake in Reliance Group. So this is right. CMC is related to Tata. You all know that. Mundra Special Economic Zone is also where Adani Group has got its thing. VSNL is also part of Tata, not Bharati Group. So only one is wrong. So which of the following pairs are correctly matched? So 2, 3 and 4 are correctly matched. So option is nothing but D. Consider the following statements. The National Thermal Power Corporation has diversified into hydropower sector. Okay. NTPC has entered into hydropower sector is statement A. Power Grid Corporation of India has diversified into telecom sector. PGCIL, which recently became Maharatna. Okay. PGCIL was earlier only Navaratna, that became Maharatna. So the question is, are these two statements right? Only one statement is right. The answer is nothing but both 1 and 2 are right. So both of them are the right statements given here. So both one is right, 2 is also right. Debenture holders of a company or its option A shareholders, option B creditors, option C debitors, option D directors. Already I think we come across the same question again. Okay, debenture holder is someone who gives loans, so is a creditor. So answer is nothing but creditor. It's a repeated question. Which one of the following committees recommended the abolition of reservation of items for the small scale sector industry? Option A Abid Hussain Committee, option C Narasimhan Committee, option C Nayak Committee, option D Rakesh Mohan Committee. The answer is nothing but Abid Hussain Committee. So it has abolished the reservation of small scale sector in industries. Okay, Abid Hussain Committee is the right answer. The most appropriate measure of country's standard of living is, so which one is the most appropriate measure of standard of living? Remember that we have got economic growth, we have got development, we have got standard of living of a country. Okay. Now, when you say growth or GDP, GDP is a measure of economic growth. More the GDP, more the growth. Okay. But when you come to standard of living, the GDP of a country is produced by how much population. That's very, very important. India produces almost $2.94 trillion. But to produce this $2.94 trillion, 130 crore people are working. 130 crore people are working. When you divide with 130 crore, you get a lesser amount. That is not going to decide the standard of living. So, GDP growth alone, okay, that's the growth. But divided by this will give you the standard of living, and doing this activity is called as a per capita income or real per capita income. So option A, gross domestic product is the wrong answer, net domestic product is wrong, net national product is wrong, per capita real income. Yes, real per capita income of a country is going to decide the standard of living in a country. So answer is nothing but real per capita income. Which of the following committees examined and suggested financial sector reforms? Very, very famous. It is the Narasimhan Committee report which has given the financial sector reforms. It is the one which has come with saying that we should have 4-tier system of the banking in the country. It is also the same committee which has spoke about a capital adequacy ratio to maintain the stability of banks in the country. So the answer is nothing but Narasimhan Committee reforms. Indian Human Development Report does not give for each sample village. Okay. So what is the parameter that is not considered in the Human Development Report? Option A, Infrastructure and Amenities Index. Option B, Education Related Index. Option C, Health Related Index. Option D, Unemployment Related Index. Remember that in Human Development Index will consider education, health, standard of living also. So obviously first three will be considering this one. But when you come to last one, unemployment rate, it is not part of Human Development Report. So the answer is nothing but D. So Indian Human Development Report does not give employment rate. Things will not be part of this Human Development Report. Which one of the following 5-year plans recognize human development as the core of all the development efforts? So remember that until 1991, we are worried only about growth and self-reliance and self-sustainability, or in strengthening the industries, all those things. But self-sufficiency also. But after 1991 reforms, we started giving more importance to the human development parameter. So if we see out of all these things, 1991, after 1991, we had only 8th 5-year plan. All these were before 1991. So 8th 5-year plan gave importance to the human development. Okay, very, very important. If at a price market supply is greater than market demand, we say that there is dash in the market at the price. See here, supply is greater than demand at a price. Then obviously we'll say that there is a more supply in the market. Yes or no? So equilibrium, no. Excess supply, yes. Excess demand, no. Marginal reserve, no. So answer is nothing but excess supply is the right answer for this. Nirman Kusuma scheme has been launched by which state to assist children of the construction workers? Remember that this Nirman Kusuma is a scheme launched by the Odisha government. And as a part of this scheme, the students of the construction workers will be encouraged to pursue technical education. So some financial assistance will be given under this scheme called Nirman Kusuma. Okay, very, very important. It's related to government of Odisha. Remember that in South Indian state, not only Telangana, which takes up lot of welfare schemes for people, Odisha government also is doing a good amount of welfare schemes for people along with AP and Telangana. Which of the following should always be balanced in the foreign trade of India? So when you come to this foreign trade of India, what is the purpose of this? To balance what? Okay. So what is the meaning of what should be balanced? When you're doing a foreign trade with other country, okay, when you're doing a foreign trade, whatever you are buying, okay, and whatever you are selling, you should make sure that for whatever you sell, you are getting money. For whatever you buy, you are paying money. If you are in a position to make the payments for the purchases that you did, that is called as a balance of payments. What is that called as a balance of payments? Means what? Whatever you purchased, you are making the payments with the money that you are getting with the form of exports. So whenever you are doing a foreign trade, do remember that you should take care of balance of payments. You should not be default in the balance of payments, because once you don't maintain balance of payments, the country which is not getting money for the supply that it has done, it will stop supplying in the future for you. So it's going to keep the country in trouble. So it's important to have balance of payments. In India, the reform policies were first introduced in which year? 1951, 1971, 1991. Obviously, LPG reforms came into existence in the year 1991. So obviously, the reforms in India were introduced in 1991. So answer is nothing but option C is the right answer. The dash of a firm is the relationship between the inputs used and the output produced. I already told you that. So there are inputs in the last, we had similar kind of a question in the last marathon, and there are outputs. So you should be able to retrieve what we have discussed in the last class. Okay. Between inputs to outputs, what is happening is called as a production function. Yes or no? Because in a production, what you do, you take inputs, you produce output. And I told you that between income and between expenditure, what is the function called as? It is called as the expenditure function. Okay, what the money you are getting and what you are spending that money. Okay, this is all what we discussed in the last class. So here answer is nothing but marginal product. Production function is right. This is wrong. This is wrong. So answer is nothing but production function. What is the poverty gap? Very, very, very important. So in India, we tried to discuss something called as a poverty line. What is that? We try to discuss something called as a poverty line. Poverty line is nothing but the minimum amount of money required to meet the basic necessities of life, such as food, clothing and shelter. That value of the money is called as a poverty line. Okay. Now, if someone is below the poverty line, how much more money they need to earn to get on the poverty line, get out of the poverty line? Okay, that gap is called as the poverty gap. For example, I tell you that if a person can earn 1000 rupees per month, is said to be above poverty line. If a person is earning only 700 rupees, means what? What is the gap here? 300 rupees is the gap. Means per month if he earns 300 rupees, then he can overcome the poverty line. So, if we see what is options, gap between the infrastructure facilities in development and developing nations, no. Gap between the rich and the poor, no. Gap between the developed and developing nations, no. The difference between the poverty line and actual income or level of those living below that line, obviously this is the right answer. So, option A is correctly defining what exactly is the poverty gap. Okay. Which 5-year plan adopted indicative planning? See, there is something called as imperative planning and indicative planning. Imperative planning means the government will tell what to do, what not to do. In indicative planning, government will not tell you what to do, what not to do. But government will try to encourage or discourage you. How? Indirectly. How indirectly? It will tell that. For example, if you are producing this, I will give more subsidies. If you are producing something else, I will put more taxes on you. Government is not telling you to produce this or don't produce that. Government is telling you this is my strategy. I want this one to be produced more, but I will not tell you directly to produce more. I will tell you that if you produce this, I will give more subsidies. Government does not want to manufacture cigarettes. So what government will tell? I will put more taxes on cigarettes. If you want to produce, you can produce. I am not going to stop. I am not going to put you in jail. You can produce as your wish, but I will put more taxes. This way, government will try to indicate what has to be produced in the country, what need not be produced in the country. So that is called as indicative planning. And remember that this indicative planning came into existence with LPG reforms. So if we see 9th, no, 4th, no, 3rd, no, 8th, yes. 3rd is a 8th. So we have option D is the right answer. From 8th 5-year plan, 1991 to 1992, indicative planning came into existence. A dash deficit is financed by the net capital flows from the rest of the world, thus by capital account surplus. Okay. So when there is more money in the capital account, I already told you that we have got a current account, we have got a capital account. When there is more money in the capital account, we will try to use some money for the what? Current account. Current account. Yes or no? So what is asking? What deficit is financed by the net capital flows from the rest of the world by a capital? What the money coming here? Some money will be utilizing to fulfill what? Current account deficit. So if we see current account, yes, the answer is nothing but current account. Okay. Already this is a part of balance of payments. Means what? Here you don't have money to make the payments. So you are trying to use this money to make the payments here. So that's called balance of payments. You are trying to balance because this is your account, this is also your account. Your account means government's account, country's account. Okay. Within the country you are trying to balance the payments. Taxes on lands and buildings is listed in the list given in the 7th schedule in the Constitution of India. Obviously, it is not union, it is a state list. It is not global, it is not concurrent, it is in a state list. Okay. Now, whatever the property that you own, your own paying property tax is not collected by the government of India, it is collected by the respective state government or respective local authority. So, it is a part of which state list. Dash scheme by the central government aims at setting up an organized rural panchayat in order to make villages more self-sustained. What are the options? Gram Uday se Bharat Uday Abhiyan, Pradhan Mantri Ujjwal Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Matritva Yojana, Vidyanjali Yojana. Vidyanjali Yojana is a scheme which is started to provide education to rural schools through volunteers, education volunteers. So there is not related to that. Okay. Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Matritva Yojana, it is meant to promote institutional deliveries of babies. Okay, this is not related to that. Pradhan Mantri Ujjwal Yojana, it is meant to provide LPG cylinders. Okay, but they are asking about setting up of organized rural panchayat in order to villages more self-sustained. The answer is nothing but Gram Uday se Bharat Uday Abhiyan. So only when the villages shine, the country also will shine. So there is nothing but Gram Uday se Bharat Uday. So answer is nothing but option A. Atal Innovation Mission of the Niti Aayog announced a first of its kind student internship program for students along with which organization? Atal Innovation Mission is one of the very important scheme of the Niti Aayog. So under Atal Innovation Mission, government has started two sub-schemes called Atal Incubation Centers and Atal Tinkering Labs. Now government has actually partnered with IBM, which is one of the multinational company, and trying to come up with a lot of internship program. Means the best students will be allowed to work with IBM with a very cutting edge technologies, and they can come with a lot of new innovations. So the answer is nothing but IBM. Okay, very important. And the remaining three are Indian companies. This is only foreign company. The agriculture price support program is example of option A price ceiling, option B price floor, option C equilibrium pricing, option D no option is correct. Answer is price floor. What is the price floor? Price floor is nothing but you are trying to fix a certain price for a commodity either at a higher level or lower level. Not only higher level or lower level based on the demand. So that is called as the price floor. So agriculture price support program is example of which one? Price floor. It's not price ceiling. Price ceiling means you're putting one price, beyond that it should not be done. But here it can reduce, it can also go high on the market price. Which was the first modern industry to develop in India? Remember that when India started taking a charge, the first modern industry that came into existence is nothing but iron and steel industries, because that is very important for the growth of the country. If you wanted to have industries set up, iron and steel industry is very important. This is one of the core industries. Remember that in the country we have got 8 core industries. How many core industries? 8 core industries. Out of the 8 core industries, this is also one iron and steel industry is also one of the core industries. Every other industries will be dependent on these things. So all the industries of the country will be dependent on the core industries. Core industries are the backbone to the country. Next one. A community market has a dash structure. If there is one seller of the community has no substitute, and entry into the industry by another firm is prevented. So they are trying to give the features of a market, and they are trying to ask you what kind of market is that. Okay. What are the features? One seller is one feature. Okay. No substitute is the other feature that they are given. Okay. And entry in the condition is the other firm is prevented. So obviously all this is a part of which market? Monopoly. In monopoly there will be a single seller. Entry condition is impossible, almost impossible. Okay. And what he offers is the only unique product. There will not be any other product just like his product, because only one person who is selling the product. So all these are the features of monopoly market. Okay. Dash project is an ambitious union government project which integrates efforts to clean and protect the Ganga water in the comprehensive manner. Uday Desh Ka Aam Nagarik, no. Uday Desh Ka Aam Nagarik, this is a civil aviation program. Urja Ganga, it's a water program, providing drinking water. Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat is meant to achieve something called as integrity among the country, national integrity program. Namami Ganga Yojana, obviously the answer is nothing but Namami Ganga Yojana is the right answer for this. So option D is the right answer. An increase in the money supply will cause interest rates to. See, remember that when there is more demand, interest rates will increase. Okay. Now what is asking? More money supply. More money, less demand for what? Not commodities, for money. Less demand for money means what? Everyone is ready to offer you money. Now it is your choice to whom you wanted to take. Obviously interest rates falls. Interest rates falls. Okay. Less money available, more demand for money, more demand for, not demand for commodities, demand for money, interest rate rises. Here what is it saying? An increase in the money supply will cause interest rates to fall. Interest rates to fall because more money is available. Anyone is willing to say give you money, so obviously interest rates falls. Okay. Option B is the right answer for this. For which one of the following items Tirupur is well known as a huge exporter to many parts of the world? Option A, gems and jewelry. Option B, leather goods. Option D, knitted garments. Option D, handicrafts. Remember that Tirupur is a place in Tamil Nadu, which is also one of the cotton hubs. It is known for knitted garments. Knitted garments, woven garments. Okay, famous for this woven garment. They export all over the world. So it's a part of knitted garments. If the dash firm has zero cost or only fixed cost, the quantity is supplied in equilibrium by the point where the marginal revenue is zero. So what is asking? The company has reached a point where no extra cost is required in manufacturing, zero cost. So only fixed cost, means whatever it has invested. The quantity is supplied in equilibrium. Equilibrium was demand is equal to supply. When demand is equal to supply, still they are supplying, okay, where the marginal revenue is zero. So marginal revenue is zero means by selling any additional quantity, they are not getting any extra revenue and no extra cost also. So which market will do this? Option A, perfect competition. Option B, monopoly, oligopoly, monopoly. Answer is again monopoly. So in a monopoly market, when there is a equal, demand is equal to supply, they are supplying with no extra cost incurred, no extra income generated. So just to maintain the market, they will do that. So it is possible only for a monopoly. Other people is not possible. Okay. Next one. Which of the markets has differentiated product and few firms? So what are two parameters? One is differentiated product, means my product will looks different from your product. Now toothpaste lo uppu untundi, mee toothpaste lo lemon untundi. Few firms. Few firms means what? Not many people are there. Very few people are there. Many people means monopolistic competition. Few people means oligopoly. If you see in perfect competition, homogeneous product. In monopoly, unique product. Okay, so these two are not the answers. Coming to these two, oligopoly. Sorry, this is not the answer. This is the answer. This can be one answer, not answer. One can be answer. So this has got a differentiated product. This also has got differentiated product. What is that? Oligopoly and monopolistic competition. But out of these two, if you see, monopolistic competition has got many firms. Oligopoly has got few firms. So what is the right answer? Few firms, differentiated products. So two conditions are satisfied. Answer is nothing but oligopoly. So the right answer is nothing but option B is the right answer. Oligopoly. Worldwide financial messaging network which exchange messages between banks and financial institutions is known as SWIFT. What is the answer? SWIFT. Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication Service. Now, when you come to this SWIFT, it is a mechanism where international transactions are having a unique code, and that unique code is nothing but SWIFT. Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications. Very important. Okay, Punjab National Bank scam took place because of this SWIFT only, not integrated with the CBS. Okay, very important. Marketing support and service scheme in the 11th plan supports artists related to obviously handicrafts. So it is something related to the handicrafts where they are trying to give a marketing support. Means when handicrafts are being created, so that will be marketed in the outside and some support will be given by the government. So answer is nothing but handicrafts. The demand for inferior good decreases with dash in the consumer's income. See, what is the inferior good? Cheap and necessary good. I told you in one of the classes, right? What is that term? Rice is a cheap and necessary. Okay. Now I told you that when rice price increases, the demand for rice will not increase, will not decrease. Why? For example, if you are consuming mutton, I gave this example, right? Mutton, instead of mutton, you will consume more rice. So the demand will increases with increase in the price. So price will increase, demand will increase. Here what they are asking? The demand of inferior good decreases, it will decrease, they are saying. With a dash, the consumers increase. With increase in the consumer's income or with the decrease in the consumer's income. Remember that when we are poor, we consume more rice. But for example, let's become very rich. When we become rich, we will not eat much rice. We will eat pizza, we will eat burger, we will eat chatta, chadaram. Yes or no? So we will consume less rice. We eat more sweets, we drink more other things, but we eat less of rice. Means what? The demand for inferior goods decreases with increase in what? Income. Yes or no? So the demand for inferior good decreases with rise in increase in consumers' income. So when you become rich and rich, you don't consume cheap and necessary goods. You consume something like what is it called as conspicuous goods, which are nothing but luxury goods. Okay, so that's important point. Goods for which the quantity that a consumer chooses increases and the consumer's income increases, and that decreases as the consumer income decreases. What is it saying? Income increases, demand increases. Income decreases, demand decreases. What kind of goods are they? Okay. See, when income increases, the demand increases. Income decreases, demand increases. They are not inferior goods. Inferior goods are reverse way. Income increases, demand decreases. Inferior goods, just now we saw. Income decreases, demand increases, inferior goods. Okay, but here this is meant for normal goods. What is that? Normal goods. Normal goods, generally you can refrigerate, whatever it is, when your income increases, you consume more and more. Okay, only when a institute's income increases, they may go and offer the digital goods, like normal goods. Okay, like that. So answer is nothing but normal goods. Complementary goods are like, car and petrol. Substitute goods are like, thumbs up and Pepsi, like that. Complementary substitute goods. Complementary means car and petrol. Sugar and tea, like that, complementary goods. Who is the author of the great Indian novel? We have got Jawaharlal Nehru, Shashi Tharoor, Mahatma Gandhi, Arun Shourie. The answer is Shashi Tharoor. One of the persons of Indian politics who is very, very good at vocab. The vocab that he uses is very, very rare vocab that he uses. So Shashi Tharoor is the right answer. Recession is, what exactly is recession? Just now we saw meltdown, slow down, recession. Recession is a scenario where the GDP also decreases. Not only GDP growth rate, the GDP itself will decrease. Right? What we have right now in Indian economy. Reduction in the production and employment for want of sufficient demand for goods can be answered. Rise in the cost of production, especially because of wage increase? No. Increase in money supply without matching increase in production? No. No options correct. Answer is A is right answer. Okay. So this is actually causing the reduction in the GDP of the country. So option E is the right answer for this. And we have reached the milestone 200th question. Which one of the following is considered as the father of Green Revolution? Remember that. We got options as Dr. Norman Borlaug, Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, Dr. Manmohan Singh, Dr. Henry Ford. Now, if you observe all these people, who is called as the father of Green Revolution? M.S. Swaminathan is the father of Indian Green Revolution, but all over the world, it is Dr. Norman Borlaug who is called as the father of Green Revolution.